Welcome to the Security Cocktail Hour. I'm Joe Patty.
I'm Adam Roth, and this is Deadpool Bear.
Yes, your favorite. So we got to get right into it. We have a lot of guests. We have an actual panel today. We have Francie Dudrey. Hi, Francie.
You nailed my last name.
I did?
Nobody, everyone calls me Francie
You said it
Dudrey,
wrong.
and I'm like, yeah,
Oh.
It was
that'd be cool.
I was-
Crocodile Dudrey.
I was just using the force. You know, it's good karma, that kind of thing. We have Mike Pedrick. Hey, Mike.
Hey.
And returning to the show, one of our favorite people, the legendary Chris Roberts. Hey, Chris.
Hey, so good to have me back. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I got to say, Chris, you know, when we did the prep, we like do a prep call before this show, and like after we did the prep call, Chris, did you go out and like hurt yourself on your mountain bike or something? So
Oh, yeah, and I'm
so
still-
be careful, man, please. You know, we don't want that on our heads.
I'm still banned from going off road, so I just got back from a bike ride where I'm doing like gravel and trails. I still manage to flipping fall off the stupid thing though, but it is what it is.
Okay, well, I hope you're okay. You know, so great, awesome. All right, and before I forget, like I always do, if you're listening on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and comment. Please follow us on Spotify. Give us a comment. Give us hate mail. I love hate mail. Anything. All right.
Did I just completely like lose my street cred doing that? Probably.
No, I
It's
don't
fine.
think so.
Yeah, you know,
It's fine.
my kids will tell us if it's cringe. It's cool. Don't worry.
I mean, that's my middle name, so.
Right.
Wait, hey, Joe, is this the game show edition?
No, this is not the game show edition. Not yet.
Oh,
I'm
We'll get there.
not wearing like a plaid jacket. You know, we're gonna have to like get dressed up for the game show edition or something. I don't know.
survey says, what can you do with a pickle?
You do with a pickle.
Oh, let's.
Starts moving.
I don't know. Oh no, let's not talk about moving. There it is.
Okay. Right. So, oh jeez, that's real. That's gonna haunt me,
We're already
dude.
going off the rails.
So we do not have a themed drink like we usually do because we could barely get everyone together at once, much less agree on a drink. I think. So I got a white wine because it was handy and it's 100 degrees out. What do we all got?
Iced coffee.
Iced coffee. Okay.
Clear liquid in a mason jar.
I feel like it would have a mason jar.
It's
We need to
water,
get that. We need to get that
unfortunately.
tested.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my drink, I don't know if you can read that, but it says NA Dirty Martini because I don't drink alcohol anymore because I'm batshit crazy. So, but I have my mocktail that my husband made me. It is a grape instead of an olive, and it's like Capri Sun and lime juice. So I'm going bougie, folks.
You know, even if you don't drink, I think you can still have an olive. That should be okay. But it's up to you.
No, I can have an olive. We just don't have olives in the house.
Oh, all right.
Fine.
Fair enough.
By the way, nice shirt. I must tell you.
That's right. Excellent.
You know, this shirt is the best shirt I've ever had.
No.
Just, I mean, it's got a deep V, which I appreciate. It's breathable, it's soft, and it's got the little thing right there.
There we go.
So,
And it's
Okay.
on sale for $99.99.
That's right. Drop a comment and we'll send you a shirt.
No, that's
I think we're
expensive.
overpaying a little
I didn't
bit.
say it was free. All right, Chris, what do you got there? You on the wagon these days or what?
Yeah, I'm. This is tonic and lime, and so no gin. Same thing, taking a break from the alcohol side of the world.
Oh, good.
I've done that for a
Good
couple
for
of
you.
months. So yeah,
Got
it's
it.
a bunch of different reasons.
Yeah, I had
Got
to
to
take
do
a
what you
break.
got to do. Yeah.
Exactly.
I like to say that, you know, I have an allergy to alcohol. I break out in handcuffs. So,
Break out in handcuffs?
we just don't do that anymore in my neck of the woods.
Wow. So am I
But
the
I'm
only
sure
one?
there's people from my past who have lots of stories.
Oh God, I'm the only one drinking. So what a lush. Oh well, cheers everyone.
Wait, so
It's
this
okay.
is a security mocktail hour?
Yeah, possibly. I mean,
Yeah, we
I'll-
could call it that. There we go.
I got a table full of alcohol sitting behind me that I've still got to catalog and get the heck out of here. But yeah, it is what it is.
All right. So we're going to have a wide-ranging discussion, I'm sure, on just about anything we want. The theme was going to be AI, so we can talk about AI or whatever else you want. And And we put together some extremely insightful questions and I swear I didn't use ChatGPT for it, but
Sure.
I would not subject you to that. No. So here's the question. Here's the first one. Everyone is talking AI. AI. Survey says AI. You need to have an AI strategy. Companies on their earning calls and they say, oh, we have AI, and their stock price goes up 10% for no other reason. So everyone's talking about it. Investors want to see it. But here's the thing. Who's actually asking for it, especially in security? At least this generative AI stuff. Is anyone actually asking for it? And Francie, since you are the only lady present and you are actually in marketing,
first?
I thought we would start with you.
So there's a ton of conversation in cybersecurity around AI, and it's wide ranging. I've talked to Mike and Chris about AI, the benefits of it, the ethical implications of it. I think, security people are the most skeptical people I've ever met in my entire life. I said Mike lives in a paranoid state about 95% of the time, and I love
as well he should.
As well he should,
Yeah.
because there are implications there. I think there are some exciting ways that you can leverage AI and cybersecurity to help, because we all know about the cybersecurity talent shortage, and there's just so much that it can do, but you have to do it the right way. You can't just be pulling AI from open source data and stuff like that. You need to make sure that it's kind of locked in. We're actually looking at it at my company and how we can do stuff that leverage AI in a way that's ethical, that's safe, but also, can do some pretty powerful stuff. So I think people are interested in it. I think they're just kind of nervous about how they would actually apply it. I hear a lot of companies talking about AI. I'm a marketing person and I know why they're talking about it, because SEO, everyone's talking about it, but they don't get into what it actually looks like. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the issue, is what are you actually doing with AI? And Mike is the one who told me some stories about how, people have gotten in trouble leveraging AI because they just didn't know how to use it.
Oh,
Mike,
yeah.
I would love to. It's, yeah. I
Just
think
to
you need it, though.
just to expand on that point super quick, we've been asked, all of us as practitioners always get asked, what's going to be the big thing next year? Or what are your predictions for the following year? And for probably 2 years running, I've said, hey, it's all well and good that we've got this new toy. We've got this big thing that has captured the attention of folks inside and outside of our industry. But the problem is that it's not, the tool itself isn't the problem. The people are the problem, right?
Yeah.
So we had that case, the first one that I think really broke the membrane of the social consciousness was that lawyer who...
That's my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
It's my favorite story.
Straight up, run-of-the-mill personal injury case, right? Somebody on an airplane gets bumped by the drink cart and files a suit against the airline. And this attorney is responsible for pulling together the brief. Here are, cases that establish precedent, et cetera. This jackhole feeds details into ChatGPT, gets output, and passes that on down the line. And somebody, some paralegal, probably somebody, some intern potentially, starts looking at it and says, these cases don't exist. Like these cases are fabricated from whole cloth. And fast forward to the end of this whole story, guy's been disbarred. He's no longer a lawyer.
Oh, was he actually disbarred for that? I didn't realize that.
I heard, yeah. This is my point, right? Is that a lot of folks will say, dear ChatGPT, dear Copilot, dear whatever, right? Here's my question, here's my prompt, and footnote or side note here, the number of people who think that they are, David Carradine, guru, master, kung fu, my prompts are the best. Get out of town. Your prompt is exactly the same as everybody else's, right? But anyway, not reviewing the content is a sin. Not reviewing the output is just short-sighted and getting people in trouble. The case, who was the rapper? There was a famous rapper whose attorney, this was a legitimate
Is this
case.
Wyclef? No, who
Maybe.
was it? I don't.
No, I don't think it was Wyclef. It was somebody that I don't know that. Well, I don't know any of them, but I don't know I didn't recognize the name. But his attorney pulled together a closing statement for the jury using generative AI, and it was disjointed. Sentences didn't make sense together. It was filled with it just wasn't right, and so could potentially have cost this cat the case, right? And so when you think about the ramifications of being lazy with this
Yes.
tool, this very, very powerful tool, the ramifications not just to you but to others are massive, and it's our short-sightedness as a race, as a collective whole has gotten us into trouble in the past, and I think this is another one of those cases where AI is fine. There's nothing wrong with AI or the advent of AI, or I'm not worried about Skynet. I'm worried about people doing themselves harm as a result of AI.
So I think the word this week is hallucination.
Oh, hallucinations.
And-
I
Yep.
hate that word.
And I also, Mike, I think you're 100% correct, right? When you use anything, any content, it behooves you not only from an integrity standpoint, but from multiple standpoints to check the authenticity of what is being presented to you, and
Yeah.
and that's an issue.
Just super quick, we have a whole group of folks, right? Otherwise intelligent folks. I don't mean to make that sound as derogatory as it did as soon as I give it oxygen, but we have very intelligent folks who are going to ask AI about the authenticity of the output of AI, right? It's an Ouroboros. It's a snake eating its own tail. This is going to spiral. It's going to continue to spiral.
So
Yeah.
by the time this comes out, I will be in a role that will actually be announced by the time we're recording it in about 3 days' time. And that role will be doing a whole bunch of work with deepfake AI.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that is
Wait, no, we need to hear more. Doing
Breaking
what?
news, breaking news, breaking
Daniel?
news.
You're going to be stopping them or making them?
Or
a little bit of column A,
Yeah, I
a
know,
little bit of
it's
column B. So this is where life gets really interesting, because like anything, it's an arms race. And if you look at AI is very good at taking a large volume of data and to some degree making some sense of it. Now, if you look at an AI system, it can take me, turn me into Mike, turn me into Francie, Joe, or Adam yourself, or anybody else who wanted to. And that is where, to me, a lot of the power is coming in, which is in identity. So if you start taking a look at AI and its uses in identity, specifically in the fraudulent side of identity, I think the highest case currently out there is a single instance of 25 million getting taken because an AI architecture was able to be used to basically bypass a multi-factor system that was using facial and other recognition technologies and initiate a transfer. So kind of like to Mike's point, what you're now seeing is you're seeing an adversary using an intelligence technology to make another me. And then on the defensive side, you're going to have, and you starting to see it, but not as much as I think we'll see in the next couple of years. You'll see an AI that says, how real is this? What algorithms am I going to use? What data points am I going to use? Where was this taken? Where is this from? What's the background? What's the frame rate? What's the refresh? And that list of other things. And that is where intelligence and AI is going to become more useful. Touch wood is, let's face it, 40 years of running technology, we still don't know whose hands are on the keyboard doing and what reasons and why and wherefore. So for me, I want to see it, especially the deepfake side, to be able to identify right person, right place, right motives.
So we're going to have to hash your face.
Yeah. and worse, actually, unfortunately, because even hashing my face isn't going to do it. That's where it gets interesting. Plus, the hash is still interceptable at an AI level because what's happening is I'm building an entire model of me off of all the stuff that's out there in the public. but there's still some challenges with that, which is why we're going to see this race very, very soon. And that's part of the reason I'm actually looking forward to starting the new role on Monday, which is going
That
to be
sounds amazing.
Oh, you're fast.
Oh,
Hey, Chris,
That's cool. And
I'm geeking out. I mean, they basically made a role for me.
Hey, Chris, you ever see the movie Red Notice?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
When they were getting
yeah,
the
with your
second
boy.
head. Exactly.
Ryan
Yeah.
Reynolds, man, that's the man. He did
That
that
was the
deep
second-
fake
yeah,
with
that
that,
secondary.
that was amazing. And that's
Yeah.
what they're talking about now. Actually, I think it was even on LinkedIn. There was a Chinese guy, a Chinese
Yeah.
grandfather and a young Chinese person, because it was all done in China, and they created a dead person with a live kid and put them together in real, what appeared to be real animation.
Oh yeah.
And meanwhile, the grandfather's been dead for many years. So how
So
do you
we're
know?
seeing that. Yeah, we're seeing that a lot. You're seeing it in movies. You're seeing it in other things. You're actually seeing it. The animation and some of those folks are currently on strike because they're seeing AI take over some of their roles and some of the voice stuff. I did a talk fairly recently, and you need basically, I want to say it's like 10 seconds, 10 or 15 seconds worth of somebody's voice and
Yep.
somebody's video to be able to replicate them effectively enough to pass most systems. You want to do it properly, you just throw more processing at it. It's as simple as that.
Fun little fact, this platform we're on, they now have the capability, like if you're editing a video and you're like, oh, I didn't really want him to say that, you can change it and it looks like he said exactly what you typed in.
Ooh.
Oh, really? We're
So
going to have
for
some
a
fun
marketing
with that.
purpose-
Yeah.
I know. I'm not
Well,
gonna
thanks,
ask
Francie.
people. I know, but yeah, it's a beta, so I don't know if you guys have it yet. But I have the beta. But
Have you
it's
guys-
nice because it's like when people, you're like, oh man, I wish they would have said something like that. You can just do it now. But there are ethical concerns. You have to do it.
That's completely unethical. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm even nervous
Whoa,
doing
whoa,
the show,
Joe.
editing people too much, but changing what they're saying?
Joe, stop. Joe, what we're going to do is we're going to make Chris say, if you don't sign up for our podcast, he's going to tase you.
I think
If you ask
should,
him, he'll
and then
just
run it.
say it. I mean,
Happy
Oh,
to make
can he
that
say
happen.
it?
uh,
Oh yeah.
Hey, Chris, can you say that?
Sign up, or I'm going to find you, kick your door in, and taser you.
Thank you.
Awesome. So you don't need to deep fake Chris for that. There you go.
No.
I'm gonna make that a ringtone though. We're gonna.
Well, I've been
Are you
wanting to
guys-
do it. I've been wanting to do a show just for a gag when I get around to it. It's kind of a fun thing. I thought we would do a show where it's just Adam and me, and we talk, and we like switch each other's voices just to be a wise
Oh,
guy.
there's a really good tool. Remind me afterwards. I'll send it to you. I've been using
cool.
it. I'm actually building a presentation at the moment, and again for the new place, I'm building a presentation at the moment that starts off as me, and it morphs into several different figures and several different people,
Oh.
each with
Get
their
to
own
Francie.
tone.
Can you be me? Can you,
But
like,
here's the
morph
reason
into
I
me?
do it. Here's the reason
There's
I'm
only
doing
one
it.
Francie.
If you think about it,
But keep the
From the-
beard. Okay.
yeah, from an attack perspective, I can be authoritarian, I can be all these things, but there are certain things I cannot be as me as an adversary. But if I mess around with me and I turn myself into pulling on some of your other emotive strings, and as an attacker I go after sympathy, or I go after empathy, or I go after these other different emotive strings, I can use this, and I'm using this single system to actually build versions of me. And then from that stuff, I do an attack profile on you. I see what will actually work with you, and I can just basically multitask. That thing is scary, and it isn't that hard.
Have you heard the story made the rounds on Saturday? But Ferrari, an executive at
Oh,
Ferrari.
yeah.
Oh,
got a message
yeah,
from the
yeah.
CEO.
What? Oh, no, I didn't hear it. What happened?
Yeah, this is good.
So this was
Tell
it
me.
was a deep faked voice message through WhatsApp. CEO, quote unquote CEO, we know it wasn't the CEO, sent a message to
Like the operations guy, I think it was.
yeah, something like that. Like, here's an NDA that's coming. Be ready to sign it. Something along to that effect. And the whatever executive that received the message was a little bit suspicious and said, okay, can you remind me what was the book you recommended I read recently, right? And the the other end didn't know, no clue, didn't have any idea about this thing. But there's the voice was, brutally on the money. Like this was the CEO's voice,
Yeah.
clearly, right? So it's not like the text message that says, I need you to pop down to the store and buy, 5 iTunes gift cards. This was actually the CEO's voice. But a simple question, what was the book you recently recommended I read, short-circuited that whole process. I can't even imagine how much money they would have gotten out of a company like Ferrari if that attack had been successful.
A ton.
So,
Yeah.
so Mike, my wife gets mad at me. I do that challenge questions all the time. I'm like, I want to make sure it's you.
Oh my God.
What was the last nasty thing you said to me? Like last, she goes,
Yeah.
oh, there's a lot of them, but the last.
Yeah, she won't be able to keep track. She cycles through a bunch,
Well, and that's just something that, we talk about. It's interesting. We just did a webinar, our threat report webinar, and one of the most requested things that people want to learn more about is cybersecurity awareness. And I'm like, really? But it's true, because this stuff changes all the time. It's like, if you get a text from your CEO asking you to buy like 5 gift cards, yeah, that's BS. But like if somebody actually calls you, sounds like the person, like that's crazy. And I don't think a lot of people realize that can happen.
I think they're starting to see it though, and this is like Mission Impossible shit. This is like crazy.
It is.
The real time that they can do with it is stuff is nuts too.
Here's the challenge. Here's the challenge on that one. I mean, Joe, to your point, yes, some people I think are becoming more aware of it.
Yeah.
Partly because it's in the news, partly because we're seeing it in movies, etc., etc., etc. I mean, Bruce Willis was basically re-imaged to use him in future movies, given his current mental situation or health situation, whichever way you want to look at it. But the challenge is, so much of a percentage of the population, the vulnerable, the older ones, the younger ones, and a bunch of the population, we still haven't gotten them to challenge a freaking password response or a, hey, UPS is sending you a thing, please send money. Or they're still getting taken in by the scams that the prince is sitting on 55 million and would you like some of it? Yeah. This takes it to a whole other level, and that's the problem. We're not ready for it.
Yeah.
There's 2 things I want to bring up about that. One, here's the irony, right? We're all in this field, some more than others, some with specialties in cybersecurity, that any single one of us, as knowledgeable as we are still vulnerable. It's kind of like the couple of times I've heard about somebody that was, a parachutist, or they parachuted, and they were so comfortable parachuting, they ran out of the plane forgetting to put their parachute on. And that's true. There are people that are so comfortable, they have actually, unfortunately, met their demise because they didn't check that they put their parachute on. And we're capable of that. Sometimes we put ourselves in such a position that the confidence is there, but it shouldn't be. We should always be listed as vulnerable. And another thing I wanted to talk about AI, before I forget, is AI comes in different forms for us. AI is sometimes embedded into a website and to help us make decisions. AI is sometimes embedded into a product in order to make that product better. And then the other thing that we were talking about before, about issues with AI, one of the biggest things that's come out recently, when I say recent, in the last year or two, is that AI can be considered bias. And that's another whole thing in itself. Their responses can be considered biased towards certain religions, certain races, certain political affiliations.
Well,
yes.
That's true. And I'll tell you that with some of the bias stuff, I mean, it's bad enough that there's the inherent stuff because of the technology. It's like I say, I hate the word hallucination because it's just a Silicon Valley euphemism for it's wrong. But we're also seeing stuff where
I love it.
Thank you for saying that out loud. More people need to hear that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
That's it. It's just wrong. I wouldn't pay money. I don't pay money for it, but it's just wrong. But so I mean that. But also, as if that wasn't bad enough, we have some pretty good indications that companies are also deliberately baking even more bias into it, and that worries me too. I mean, like some of the Google stuff is like I just can't believe that that's an accident. Some of it's so outrageous.
When you type in a search and you're like, yeah, really? That's what I was searching for?
I want to say something potentially incendiary, and I want to be judicious about how I say it. Okay?
Yeah, we need views. Yeah.
Hot take inbound, right? The bias and beauty have something in common. They're in the eye of the beholder, right? It is not AI's fault that there may be bias, right? Because you assemble 5 people reviewing the same data, a portion of that 5 are going to see bias, and a portion are not, right? Whether the person who doesn't see bias is ignorant to the larger picture, or the inverse, the people that do see bias are ignorant to the larger picture, whatever the case may be, right?
Yeah.
Adam, you look like you want to jump in there. Go for it.
Wait, but keep in mind, you're 100% right. But wait, there's more. It depends on who your sample set is.
Right. And that's, so I feel like the knee-jerk reactions to this code base or this thing is broken because we see bias in it. That knee-jerk reaction is more dangerous than the bias itself. And so, because we're breaking the thing. Like, oh no, it said a thing that, or it output something that we consider to be taboo. I got to go back in and rework the whole thing. Well, maybe, but let's get to the source. Let's evaluate, why did it come out with that thing. Now, please understand, at no point in time will I ever advocate for, what was the story in 2016, that they released an AI chatbot that became, brutally racist.
Because people were like, trading it to be racist. Yeah.
Right. Here's a really super good idea, right? Don't ever give a chatbot to like 4chan or Reddit. Just don't.
4chan,
not even for entertainment purposes.
It's not even. It's not even good.
If you wouldn't give them an infant, don't give them a chatbot.
I don't want you guys to judge me, but I've been using AI for about 41 years. No, I've been using Eliza. Should I stop using Eliza? Do you remember Eliza?
Adam, I
know what Eliza is.
I thought I was your therapist, not AI.
Do any of you remember Eliza?
Yeah.
I don't. Help me out with this.
Oh, you don't?
Did I miss something big? Hold on.
Chris, you know Eliza. That's an old school thing, right?
That chatbot has been around for over 40 years.
Long.
Yeah.
Is it that?
AI is not new. AI is not
from
new.
like the 70s.
Been around for
66. Developed from 1964 to 67. Yeah.
Yeah. And so everyone knows it was this kind of early chatbot that was kind of like a psychologist, and when you told it something, it would ask you things like, "Tell me about your feelings," or "Tell me more." It wasn't very sophisticated, but it seemed real to people.
We used that engine. Side story on this one. Many years ago, an individual who did some good books that we're well aware of, including Restaurants at the End of the Universe and Don't Panic. I got dragged in to help out on Starship Titanica, the game. And we actually used a version of Eliza. We actually forked off a version of that to use some of the feedback loop for the conversational side of it. So you remember the early version of Hitchhikers, the early game that the
oh god, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy thing, or no, is that what it was?
Yeah, that was that. So this was actually not Hitchhikers. We actually did another one with Douglas, which was called Starship Titanica. If you ever look at it, it's another one. I've got some of the code behind the scenes on that, which was actually loosely based off of some of the Eliza stuff, because we were looking for feedback loops and comments and all sorts of interesting stuff. That's the same similar thing. That's how far back I go with this kind of crazy shit.
Chris, that same year I was using MUDs and I was using IRC or Merck.
Oh, I still use IRC.
What'd you say?
I still use IRC channels.
Oh man, I actually used it a couple of years ago, but I was like, man, why is the port 6666?
No comment.
If you do the OSCP, which I was doing, the OSCP still uses IRC too.
So here's the interesting thing on this one. When we talk about data, which let's face it, our world is coming more and more to data. One of the things, again, this other role that's going to be part of this one, and something I've done before with a company that's already out there, is adversarial AI. Logic is simple, as you get it to eat itself. So perfect example in this one, a couple of years ago, and actually fairly recently, again, got dragged in to deal with some folks out on the East Coast who are like, hey, this vendor's coming in and they got this new toy and it's got AI and it'll protect us from everything. And we're like, playtime. And so we ended up, again, training their AI our way, feeding it all sorts of interesting data, bypassing its checks and balances algorithm slowly but surely, to the point where it basically removed its own systems off of the network because they were actually a danger to itself. Yeah,
Okay.
it's kind of fun.
That's
Well, here's the interesting thing that comes up with that. Like, the same thing as bias being in the eye of the beholder. How do you define what's dangerous to itself? You know, that's my devious mind thinks of that. I don't
This
know.
is where you get into the who's watching the watchers. And this is, if you start taking a look at identity, think about it, years and years and years ago, identity was user ID and password. 3 to 4 characters, if you were lucky, have a nice day, and off we go. Then we started putting more and more layers. I'm actually going to do a LinkedIn post on this one at some point in time. Because then it was like, all right, now we need multi-factor, now we need this, now we need this, now we have PAM, now we have IAM, now we have user identity, and we have all this other stuff. What we're now going to have to build in is it's literally a watcher of the watchers that's watching to see the consistency across systems and then do some variations on that to see, am I being poisoned over time, am I being poisoned over, all these other things.
Right.
That layer of authentication to see who is actually coming into that system, that layer of the cake is just going to explode over the next couple of years.
We're already seeing, Chris, we're already seeing some of that, right? So, the IAAA process, right? Identification, authentication, authorization, accounting, right? So we're seeing, it used to be, and for the record, just so Joe, Adam, you guys know, I spend a lot of my time teaching. So if something comes out of my mouth that sounds like it came from a textbook, high likelihood it did. Anyway, it used to be something you are, something you have, something you know, right? Like that's so 1993. Like we're past this, right? So now we're looking at behavioral analytics. Is the way that you're authenticating consistent with what we're expecting? If it's not, suspicion, right? Maybe we let you in anyway, but we're going to elevate that scrutiny. We're going to be watching you more closely, right? So that behavioral analytics piece is like we're already there. That's already happening. A lot of folks don't realize it, and a lot of organizations can't afford, the tooling to permit that yet, right? But the reality is there. We're already there. You're signing in from a place that you haven't before. You're signing in from a device you haven't before. This is academic. This is table stakes. But now it's what is the behavior that we see once you're in or as you're signing in? Is it consistent with what we expect?
So one of the episodes that we did over a year ago was Passwords Must Die. And I think we're kind of segueing.
Episode 1, the first thing I wanted to say, passwords must die.
So I think we're segueing into what do we think about, whether it's AI or not, what's going to be the future of, can we do this, Joe? Can we segue into this? What's going to be the future of being able to be authenticated? Will passwords go away? Will it be AI? Will it be some kind of identity?
I think that's a great question because it kind of gets to how do we authenticate people when you have this situation where, to use an old thing, it can literally trick your mother,
Right.
Right. Okay, so then how does the security staff identify?
It's layers. Tough. I mean, if you think about it, Adam, to your point, you can't make it more complicated. That's just not going to work because people will find ways around it. We're humans. Let's face it. When we said use your phone to authenticate with, that became a challenge, and people find ways around it because they don't have their phone to hand, etc., etc., etc. The tokens came and went to some degree. The soft tokens, because we kept losing the stupid things.
I hated them.
So we're at such a well. Think about it. When Mac was the one that kind of mainstreamed the fingerprint stuff, and then they suddenly realized that was going to go away. Then all of a sudden, the biometrics, the facial stuff, we realized we could bypass that with pictures.
Right.
And so
we have problems with COVID. Chris, forget about that.
Yeah.
COVID,
good point. Yeah, forgot about that. Good point. Yeah, good point. And I think we have to get to the point where it has to be seamless. And again, this is the nice thing about going off to play with these new folks. It's got to be as seamless as a human possibly can be. but it's gonna have to be so, to Mike's point, relatively convoluted behind the scenes to go, is it the right person in the right place at the right time? You know, if Mike logs in today from here, tomorrow like Mike logs in from, let's say Mike logs in from India, can that authentication system back out of where it is, do a quick checks and balances with Amex and see that Mike actually is now somewhere else? Or can it go into Mike's social profile and go, oh yeah, Mike's been posting pictures from India? Can it do enough outside? Basically, it's building its own threat profile on Mike in a near real-time basis to go 95% probability, and then we're going to have to turn around and go, well, are we accepting on 90, 95, 92, 80?
That revolves around all these different technologies. Is SIM going away? Because SIM is a lot of what profiles that stuff too.
Yep.
Is
What do we
AI
do with the data?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike?
So the one thing I wanted to jump in here, and Francie sees this coming already. So privacy. I don't want
There it is.
an authentication system knowing that I'm vacationing in India. It's not their business. That's just
He gets
not.
mad.
That's not a part of the picture, right? It just
No.
isn't. So,
But it's going to have to be.
well, if I have to travel with a friggin' Motorola Razr, I will do so, right? It's
But it's going to have
so
to.
this is part of the but I say that, and then I hasten to add this, right? And I'll give you guys an anecdote, and I'm going to jam Robin Hood under the bus with this, right? So I bought or I signed up for Robin Hood. I got a free share of Chesapeake stock. And this was just before Aubrey McClendon, the former CEO, ran his Tahoe into a bridge abutment at 40 miles an hour accidentally to avoid indictment.
Perfect.
Yeah. That event led to my stock in Chesapeake sort of erasing. Like Chesapeake doesn't exist, and so that free stock doesn't exist. Therefore, I have no money with Robinhood. Okay. When you sign up for Robinhood and you give them a phone number, they implemented multi-factor authentication such that if you sign in from a new device, it sends a code to your phone number. Hey, that's great. I'm a fan of multi-factor authentication, except I don't give out my cell phone number. I give out a landline number that can't receive text messages. So I reached out to Robinhood and I said, hi, I am me. I assure you I am me, but I can't get into my account and I no longer want to receive marketing material from you. I want to delete my account. Kid you not, they said, scan your driver's license and send it to us. Let me make you a list of the things
Good
that I'm not
Lord.
going to do. The first 5 on that list is exactly what you just said. So where I'm going with this is that in order to get that authentication, for them to validate that I am who I am, they're asking for things that violate privacy.
I go even further and say, besides violating your privacy and finding ways that'll get in the hands of bad people and all the things that happen with that, it's almost when we start basing identification and authentication on not tokens and things that are assigned to you, but things like your own attributes. Well, the ability to identify them is also the ability to duplicate them, basically.
Yes.
And that's
Right.
why we're not going to get rid of passwords, because guess what? If you lose the stupid thing, just replace it. You lose your fingerprints to an adversary, you be screwed.
Right.
We need people to be smarter with passwords, not to get rid of passwords.
And that's the thing is that, I mean, I can tell you, working on the marketing PR side, we still get requests for password, password instructions on how to keep, how to do the right password and passphrases. And so, it's very basic stuff, but they're asking because people still don't know.
Well, not only people don't know, but I mean, you've only got to look at the top 20 that comes out every single flipping year. I mean, good grief alive. The fact that we make passwords complex by adding 7, 8, and 9 to it is not saying too much. Again, we know what we're doing, and let's just say there's 15, maybe 20% of the population that's like, woohoo, we're great. That leaves an awful lot of vulnerable people who either A, don't have something on their phone, or don't
Right.
have a phone, or their computer is just straight into it because it's easier that way, or 1,001. You got Alzheimer's? You're not going to be remembering that flipping password every 5 minutes.
Hell no.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I can't remember stuff.
Right.
oh, Chris, you're right, too. There are a lot of,
Yeah.
older people, many of whom I'm related to, who cannot figure out a password manager and probably never will.
I type.
And that to me is where privacy the illusion of privacy, because let's face it, privacy is an illusion at this. And again, to Mike's point, I'm going to throw a hot mic out as well. Privacy is an illusion. Now, I would argue by giving up more, you have the potential, if the data is looked after properly, you have the potential to gain some of that back. If I can prove who I am, where I am, and what I'm doing, then I can have a little bit of cocoon of safety.
So my dad, like you know how we have like LastPass and 1Password and all those different things?
Yeah.
My dad has his own password manager. It's a book you bought on Amazon and it says password, and he puts it in the book. I said to my dad, "What are you doing?"
What a coincidence! My dad too.
But then, you know
They
what?
put it in the
Nobody
same
online
place.
is going to steal it. Nobody
I know
In
online.
a
that.
sense, it is very secure. In a
It's air
sense,
gapped.
yeah.
It's air gapped. It's air gapped. But you know, so it was funny. When I used to work for Joe, I worked at a company and we were dealing with EDR, which I don't even want to talk about. So I turned around. I said to the guy in the room, I said, "You don't have a tablet or anything? You have that little notebook?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, he goes, "You'll never steal my information from my notebook as long as I have it." And I said to him, "What did you used to do for a living?" He goes, I work for the CIA. And I was laughing my ass off. And it was like, oh my God. He goes, go back to basic stuff. But I was going to say something else. I'm trying to remember what it was. But we're not going anywhere away from passwords or authentication. Oh, Mike, if you want to be safe, I'm Jewish, but there's a lot of religious Jews. They buy kosher phones, and the kosher phones, they call them. Google it.
Joke.
Google it.
I'm waiting.
This is a real thing.
This isn't a pun.
Really?
This is a thing.
Google
Because I'm
it.
bracing.
This is not
I
a
can't
gag.
trust you, Adam.
Yeah,
I don't know.
the kosher phones, and they have limited amount of functionality that prevents people from doing or looking at certain things. It's called kosher.
They don't work on Saturday, right? Is that it?
Responsive.
Yeah. No. So I'm gonna Google it. Kosher phones. So
Man, they think of everything, don't they?
Kosher Cell. Browse free cell phones and devices. KosherCell.org. At Kosher Cell, we provide. Most phones have open internet access that can be addictive, time-wasting, and dangerous. At Kosher Cell, we provide you and your family with safe, distraction-free phones so you can access useful smart apps without any of the bad stuff.
Oh, wow. This is not a
Did it
sponsored
have to
video.
go through a process?
Is this
Did it
like a
have to-
parental locks kind of situation?
No,
But for,
just
like,
that certain people, certain sects, certain religions
Yeah, same
want to
thing. Same
prevent
thing
it.
with the Muslims. Same thing
There's a
with the Muslims.
koshermobile.com.
Same
I
logic,
can't believe
yeah.
it.
But I mean, just get a flip phone. I mean,
that's the thing.
this
I'm
is
like, why don't
something
you
else.
just get like a, where it's like T9 texting and stuff? Like,
Well,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. Is it a dumb phone approved
But no,
by the
you go back to the
rabbis? I
dumb.
make it
The problem
kosher.
is with your dumb phone is I'm
That's
going
what I was
to
wondering. Like,
with
is it
extra
low
big
salt?
buttons.
I don't understand.
They also make phones. They have these other phones that are not Google and they're not Apple, but they're kind of smartphones. It's kind of weird. I forgot the name of those phones too, but there are phones out there that will not have these apps, but they allow you to do certain other enhanced stuff. So I don't know.
Armadillo does. Armadillo's another company that does some really flipping nice. I mean, those beasties those are the ones you can take into all sorts of interesting places and not care if it gets lost or stolen or taken.
Not China or Russia.
Yeah, no, Armadillo's good. Those ones they're nice ones.
Here I was thinking that the last generation of dumb phones came from Microsoft.
Well, wait. So I shouldn't be. I have an iPac, the IPAQs. Remember those?
Yes.
Oh man! Wow.
But
Maybe Joe, you can. Yeah, we'll reference Armadillo phones. Maybe we can get a free one.
Yeah.
Do you
no,
think
tell
like
me
the
about it,
younger,
yeah.
like security pros, like the guys getting into the business, watch this and are like, what the hell are these guys talking about? And are they 75 years old?
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
80. I'm 80, by the way.
Okay, I was just curious.
Believe it or not, our viewers skew a lot younger than I thought. So they.
You
guess
do?
they have
Oh my
some
God.
interest.
Oh my
Oh
god!
yes, there we go.
I had that.
Wow.
By the way, that's his tablet.
This is time.
By the way, in case you want to
How
know,
horrible it is.
I was born January 1st, 1999.
Sure you were.
1900
Sure.
for me.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, he's a vampire, so he's been around a while.
Yep. Yeah, I got 1900. Anytime I can do 1900, I always do. I think on LinkedIn, I'm like January 1900 or something because it let
Do
me
you know
go
what-
that
Kind
far
of like
back.
Methuselah with the beard. So
It does.
Do you know what-
Yeah.
I mean,
Do you know what's funny? We had an attorney on, and she told us, she goes, she wrote, I think she even wrote books maybe, or read books, but she wrote books maybe.
Yeah, shit books. Wait.
Yeah,
Yeah.
about privacy. And she goes, yeah, but I still have Google. I think that's what she said, right?
Yeah, she said it's really hard to live without this stuff. So,
is.
a person who wrote this book on surveillance stuff and everything, she told us, she's like, you guys gotta calm down, take it easy, live your life.
Everybody has their own risk calculus, right? There's
That's the thing.
certain risks we're just going to take. I mean, listen, I am steadfastly committed to privacy advocacy at the local level, not at the y'all must do. This is what I'm going to do. I drive a Tesla, for Christ's sakes, right? Like I am rolling surveillance. So it's but my risk mitigation is that the cars and their charger live on their own network, segregated from everything else in my life.
But-
So
Yeah.
you do what you got to do to
Didn't they say that about industrial control systems a while back, that they were on their own separate network until somebody decided to plug them into the corporate net?
right.
So we all put our camera covers on our computers. I would say all of us on this call, if I'm wrong, don't have camera covers on our phones. We don't turn off the audio. We don't prevent that. By the way, I haven't gotten a call in 10 years because I put my phone into a Faraday cage. So I don't know.
We don't use our phones for calls anymore anyhow, right?
I
Okay,
know.
right? Like
Yeah, seriously, who talks to anyone? Who calls? Crazy.
My life is so boring. So listen away. Really,
Yeah.
you're gonna hear about me yelling at my daughters to put their pants on. Like that's not. And there goes Mike.
Okay, so here's a question. This is really gonna stoke it. We've been talking about
Okay.
AI, been talking about the hot stuff, the cool stuff, everything. Are we actually worrying about AI too much at the expense of all the other things that people are getting killed on? Look at the big breaches we have and the stuff we've had lately. It's not being caused by AI. Sure, but
With great power comes great responsibility.
Was that your quote?
Wow.
Did you?
No,
That
that's
was.
deep.
that was what's his name's from Spider-Man.
yeah, I was gonna say, did you have a nephew that got bitten
I
by
was
radioactive?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
By the way, some poor kid tried to get himself bitten by spiders so he could turn into Spider-Man recently. So
Yeah,
See,
that's
we
not
need to put
right.
more money in education in the United States. I'm just saying. Good Lord.
Well, that's it. It's like a word about all this whiz-bang stuff, and people are just getting dumber and dumber. I don't know. It's crazy.
No, I think there's a way, like with AI, yes, there's a ton of buzz around it. But me personally, I leverage it a lot because, small team, ideas and things like that. But what Mike said before is like, you got to check your shit. Like, you can't just rely on this stuff to float you. It's not going to happen. You need to learn how to use it effectively alongside what you do. There has to be a human element in everything. So I think there's a lot of hype because it's a good headline. I don't think we need to be as freaking out and hyping it up as much as it is right now, because I think it's just a matter of harnessing it in a way that's responsible and using it effectively. Like,
So here's my thought on this one. Yes, I think we need to worry, but not for the reasons that we are worrying. I would look at AI and the compute power it uses as probably one of the worst eco-terrorists out there.
Yeah.
We're not
It's
using, we are maybe 2, 3, 5% of AI usage would be arguably for maybe the furtherment of the human endeavor and population. The rest of it, I'd argue, is crap. And
It's
yet
funny
we
you
are
say that.
Generating AI porn, that really contributes to society.
No.
through so many reasons.
whatever gets your jollies.
I think. Well, I was going to say we're using AI supposedly through different methods and means to communicate or try to communicate to alien races outside of our solar
We're
system.
not going to have a planet left to communicate.
That's the thing.
if
Let's
we don't
focus
want
on
get our shit
here.
together.
Well,
Yeah,
you don't want to talk
can we
about.
communicate with our own people first?
I'm trying to bring aliens into this. If they come
No.
to visit me today, no. But let's
That's it.
consider.
The aliens are right outside, Adam.
The aliens are going to land and think that we communicate in porn. That's the fast forward.
Yeah, there you
Like,
go.
they're gonna,
He's
they're gonna
going with
land
it.
and they're gonna get the F out of here because they're like, these guys are no.
If you have anyone to
Yeah.
blame Chris and his pickles. I don't want to hear it.
I mean, Chris,
Oh,
is,
jeez.
they're gonna see that and be like,
Wow.
no.
Well, I did read something interesting. I cannot remember who wrote it, but he said something like, if you look at all the... oh, jeez. But if you look at all the power AI is using, and
That's
they say,
true, yeah.
they say like, I don't know, GPT-4 or 4.0 or something like that, like it's like as smart as a high school or college student, whatever it is. But it uses like 10,000 times the power, the energy of that human brain. And when you think about it like that, you're like, that's really not very good. That's,
Well, I'm
that's
only
not
using-
so impressive when you put it like that.
I'm only using 1% of my brain, so we're good. No, but look.
Not going there.
Let's consider. Look at this. Give me a minute to say this. Look at AI like you would look at a weapon. AI should have safety. You should be trained on how to safely use it. You should. A weapon can be used for good. It can be used for bad. It can be used to hurt someone. It can be used to hunt, to bring food into your family. So
Yeah.
if you treat AI like a weapon and you use it responsibly, you should be able to use AI in the correct way. But the question is, where are those boundaries? Where does it end? Where does it begin?
Well, and the education, like learning how to do it. I mean, we've been talking about just, how do we teach people how to use it? Like the prompts and things like that. Ways to effectively get what you want to get out of it. And know that you can't just rely on solely AI to do your job for you. The whole idea around like AI is going to steal our jobs only if you don't know how the hell to use AI effectively. Like you got to have the human element in there to do it. And so I think that's right what you were saying, Adam.
Yeah, for me, seeing what AI produces, if AI is going to take your job, you're probably not doing anything too spectacular. Put it that way at the current
That's
level
it.
of it,
You
Let me. So all the paranoia around AI is going to eliminate all these white collar jobs, right? Like if you said to somebody 30 years ago, 40 years ago that it would be legitimate job titles, YouTuber, eyebrow designer, right? They'd have thought you had 3 heads, and yet those are job titles today, right? One
That's
of them really
true.
lucrative, and I don't mean the YouTuber. So
Let me
it's
go look. Eyebrow design. Oh, there's an opening.
Although I will say my kids were like, I want to be a YouTuber when I grow up, and I about, disowned them. It's fine. If they want to,
And yet
But
here
I'm like,
we
"Can you
are.
try some other pursuits?" And here we are. I know.
So,
I know,
So
but I'm
no-
not unboxing a toy.
I
I'm not-
was.
Francie,
let's not let's not go down that road.
if you let them be YouTubers, they're never moving out. You realize that?
No, I know,
They
and I
move
watch.
into a bigger house, right?
They move it
That's
they,
where all the
all
money
together.
is, right?
A creator house.
Look at those guys, Jake Paul and those guys. I mean, how much tens of
please.
millions of dollars they're making.
I don't know how that guy makes money.
all right,
But he is.
let me ask a question. Let me go back to the AI stuff for a moment, and let me
Oh,
pose a
thanks for.
question.
Is it Chris
Let
getting us
me-
back on task?
Yeah, to
Are we
some
in a-
degree. No, not really, because there is an ulterior motive to this, and you'll figure it out in a second. So let me ask a serious question. We know that humanity needs to change in order to be able to effectively, basically look after itself.
Yeah.
Question for all of you is, how in the past has humanity changed course? What things have occurred to humanity to change course in the past? In other words,
That's
how would I
bad.
affect change? There's only one answer, I'm afraid.
I
but
know what
I'll
the
see-
answer is. It's got to be the catastrophic issue. Whether
Yeah, you gotta
it's
kill people.
it's
Lots.
catastrophic. Well, it's
Lots,
not just kill.
lots and lots.
It's not just killing people. It's whether we lose sunlight for 30 years, and and we have and plants die and things. I mean, it
Yep.
could be almost close to an exterminating event. It could be, I mean, we haven't had it recently, right? But it could be something where humanity might cease to end, a nuclear war, a world war, stuff like that.
But even that really didn't do it, let's face it, because it was always a threat. It didn't actually, we dropped a minimal amount of, unfortunately, we still dropped bombs on people, but we didn't drop enough, to be honest, to be able to deter people. We dropped enough to make people go, well, we need it too. And I'd argue the same thing with AI at this point in time. Everybody wants it. I mean, let's face it, when ChatGPT was released to humanity, 5.5 billion people on the planet went, woohoo! There are some people who went, woohoo, great, I can play with this. There were some people who were like, well, I don't want to do anything with it. And there were other people who were like, ha 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 ha, and used it to attack others. So fight, flight, and freeze. And so, I hate to say it, until we actually demonstrate, same thing with security. People don't care about security until something happens.
Right.
And that's actually very similar to
Go,
what
Mike.
you're saying.
I know. I can see you. Go for it. I'm listening.
Mike
Yeah,
is
go ahead, Mike. Go
percolating
ahead.
there
Sorry,
hard.
Mike. Go ahead, Mike. I know, yeah. I see it. It's ready to go. It's ready to burst.
I'm usually disinclined to disagree with Chris. And I don't know that I'm disagreeing with Chris, right? But I am going to say this. I agree wholeheartedly that suddenly we had a race for everybody to have nuclear weapons.
Mm-hmm.
But the MAD doctrine was in itself a deterrent. We all have them. We are all going to die. Therefore, none of us are going to launch a nuclear weapon, right? So, but I want to step back from that because I want to expand a little bit on places in our known history, our documented history, which is really not that long, right?
Nope.
I'm not talking tablets and hieroglyphs on
No, we're
walls
talking
because I just don't think there's
several
high
thousand years,
reliability
and that's
there.
it, really. Yeah, a couple of thousand years.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly. I think that the direction of humanity is either changed by calamity or catastrophe or some major global event, pandemic excluded, or a driving holistic interest in a thing, right? We were the Industrial Revolution springs to mind, right? That was game changing. It wasn't a calamity.
Well,
Asterisk, right?
Depends which country you were in.
Asterisk. But
England in the 40s.
but the drive for the
that's
increase
fair.
in productivity was there, right?
Yep.
But here's the other thing that I would say about this, right? Is that nothing motivates like calamity. Think of all the things that we invented in the 20th century that we couldn't have even conceived of for 500 years prior, right? And on a long enough curve or on a specific curve, we have stagnated. We haven't invented, we haven't innovated to the extent that the entire globe did, or much of the globe did, during World War, or in the years between World War I and World War II. So bringing it back around, I'm thinking to myself, AI currently, not to take a dismissive view of it, is really just, it's in its infancy. It's not Skynet. It's not something you'd read about in a Philip K. Dick novel or Isaac Asimov's Four Laws. It is not that yet. It is a really sophisticated, really power consumptive series of if then else statements and machine learning, basic fundamental machine learning.
And a data lake.
And a data lake. Got to be a data pond at the very least, right?
Oh,
Or
a data,
something.
a data puddle.
A data estuary, like what?
Data puddle?
So, data puddle.
Data swamp. It's a swamp, for crying out loud. Let's just be honest about it.
That's right. Yeah.
All right.
So
Mike.
Go
Go
ahead.
on. I want to add
No,
to it. So
I'm
here's
getting
the-
close to the end. Go for it.
No, I like this. So here's my challenge on that one, though. I just looked up a stat. So back around the 19th century, there were about 1 billion people. Here's the challenge. That was 1 billion people who were connected over days or weeks worth of news that eventually filtered out. Now we have 8 billion people with 5.5, 6 billion connected people. Each one of them's got their own independent view, and they get news immediately. And so I think that's the interesting one as well, is when news filtered out slower, was disseminated, more civilized, and it was limited. You had a limited scope, a limited number of people, and a limited focus on it. We were able to actually come together and probably have more collaborative views. But now you got 5.5 billion connected people talking to, in total, 8 billion people on this planet, and with 6 billion different views, and everybody wants their own piece of pie, and everybody wants to be right. That's where I think we have a problem as well.
Sure, but those it's an individual feed to a woefully small number of news sources.
Yes.
In real time.
Yeah, that's true.
You know
That's
what I mean?
actually
the faces change, the names change, but the message is largely the same.
Yeah, that's fair.
Just to divert for 1 second. Meanwhile, we have all these connected devices and all this AI. I thought 20 years ago we were running out of IP4 addresses. What happened?
God. Yes. IPv4 addresses and helium were going to be no longer a thing right now, right? So,
Again, thank God for RFC 1918.
right.
Okay, well, I think we're getting towards the end here, and you know what? I'm trying to end on a more hopeful note these days.
I know.
No,
It's
don't
like,
do it.
Stuff.
ooh, this got deep.
No, kill everybody off down
Well-
with it.
Talk about Chris's pickles.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Sorry,
These are
Joe.
actually good.
I know
These
you
are
were
really
trying
good
to.
listening devices, and that's all I'm going to say.
You know what? If there is some global calamity, and in 10,000 years some archaeologist, picks
Or
up that
aliens.
pickle and is going to say, what was this? Must have been an object of
desire.
worship or something. Yeah. Oh my God.
I'm like, this is
What's the
amazing.
meaning of this? You know?
It's going to be a shrine to the
That'd be
pickle.
crazy.
But
Yes.
by the way, if something happens to me, or I'm no longer seen, it probably wasn't aliens.
Probably was not.
Yeah.
Ah.
So anyway, last night I was watching YouTube, as I often do, and I saw this little Star Trek fan film they were making. It was like the story of Khan, like in the Wrath of Khan, the guy who was the
Khan!
guy,
Yes.
Khan, yeah.
Yeah.
Here, God! Sorry.
Yeah, who's the evil warlord who brought war and destroyed the world almost, and the Federation was founded. Well, they did this thing, and they said, according to Star Trek when they made it in the '60s, Khan did all his bad stuff and left the Earth in 1996.
And you went back to
So-
Fantasy Island.
Yeah, exactly, with the other guy. But you know what? That's like going on 30 years ago. So maybe there is some. If we've at least managed to exceed the dread that they thought we were going to have in the 60s. Maybe there's some
Yeah, we
hope
got
for
past
us
the
if we can
60s, we
keep
got
that
past
going. I don't know.
Y2, we got past Y2K, we got
Yeah.
past all these other little bugs that we forgot about in computing systems. I think there's another couple coming up in the next few. I keep seeing ones like Linux, Unix ones, and mainframe ones, but we're getting there.
Well, the next bugs that we're going to have are going to be more around protein and organic, and they're going to go from our brains to the computers and back. It's all good.
No, I'll take a different tact. So I've spent the last couple of years, and I'm still messing around with it. I haven't had a chance since I've been out in Missouri. So I had built, and I've got to resurrect it, a version of me that is purely digital. So I was monitoring brain signals for several years through a different set of glasses, these ones, and I was pulling out signal intelligence, pulling out data intelligence, and all this other kind of good stuff. And the logic was basically to build a digital version of me. I got it to the point where it knew I wanted tea and coffee, tea before I wanted tea, wanted milk. It could recognize me as I walked up to the computer and a whole bunch of other things. Now, the question becomes, one is, when does that become sentient and on its own? And if it is, it's digital, which means I can send it by wire. I can send myself via signal. I don't have to be connected. So you want your aliens, bugger waiting for them to come to us. I take a digital version of one of me, and I send it across the airwaves outside of this planet.
Why don't you do that for Monday when you work your job?
Because I don't think it's going to confuse them. But let me solve the deepfake stuff first, and then I'll play with this. They have a huge lab. I am looking forward. I'm going to be taking over the lab. Let's just put it that way. And yeah, we'll
Oh
probably
my
end up with
God! Can I be
That
your
is
intern
so
for free?
Oh, I'm looking forward to this, and the pickles will be joining me.
The pickles should join
Awesome.
you.
All right.
Oh, deep fake pickles.
Ooh, deep fried deep fake pickles.
I think we got to the end here, huh?
Yeah, well, I'm
Think
glad,
so.
Chris, you're going to be doing something very cool. I can't wait to see what
Yeah, I'm looking
what
forward.
happens with that. And there is much more to be written on this AI stuff. It's not going anywhere for now.
It's-
We got to figure
No.
all this out.
If we can figure out how to power the damn thing effectively, we should be. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Seriously. Okay. Well, everyone, thanks so much for joining. This has been a blast. Francie Dudrey, Mike Pedrick, and Chris Roberts, and my usual cohort, Adam.
I would say before we go, if anybody wants to be on the panel and has a good idea, please reach out to us. We'll love to do this again. And if you want, we can maybe bring back some other guests. So let us know.
Panels
Absolutely.
are fun.
Yes, and thanks to all of our viewers for hanging out till the end. And we'll have more. So
Oh, you should have done like Deadpool, where we sit there.
don't spoil it. I'm going to see it this
this
weekend.
happens in every episode.
Oh.
No, like, you sit there, we wait, we do the credits, we do the credits.
Oh, yeah, and then we
Oh,
do
the
a
after
secret-
credits
a secret
scene. Okay.
scene.
Oh, you're still here? You didn't
You're
leave
still
yet?
here?
Wait, clean up your aisle. Put your food in
But
the
the
basket.
pickles would say it.
There
Yeah.
we go. Okay, for the after credit scene, I think maybe I will do an AI pickle animation if we can figure out how to do that.
There's your pickle.
Great.
I'll send you
Oh,
a
this
pickle.
is fun.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, everyone. It's great
Thank
seeing you
you.
guys.
Thanks for
as
having
always.
me.
Take
Bye-bye,
care.
everybody.